think we're doing it.
Hello.
You recording? Can you hear your voice in your ear?
Hello? Can I? What? Of course I can. I'm fucking talking. I presume it's recording.
It is recording. I can see it's recording there.
Great stuff.
Brilliant. We're up and running. We're back. Thank fuck for that.
Somehow, a few minor issues.
Yes, just a few technical issues, medical issues.
A lot of technical issues, even more medical issues.
And
a broken sphincter.
Oh, yeah, the sphincter is on its way back, though, in fairness. Yeah, so it's been a couple of months, Jem. It's been
longer, I'd say.
Yeah, when did we record? I think we recorded in May and released it in early June. And here we are, nearly at the end of a long, hot summer.
Yes, indeed, where we jet-setted around the world.
But fuck it, we're back. So apologies to everyone who was waiting eagerly for the next episode, but we're finally going to record it today. We're finally going to finish Filth.
The last piece of the jigsaw in your life will soon be
definitely
upon you.
And while we're at it, apologies for the episode of Filth, because when we listened back, you sounded all right, but I sounded like I was locked in a toilet cubicle down the corridor. And
I don't think that was something to do with the audio. That was the massive pains in your body, I think.
Possibly so. But we're back anyway, and we're going to, as we say, discuss Filth, the movie adaptation that is, from 2013.
It's a film.
Can you believe it's so long since Filth came out, Jem?
I can, because it made no... When it came out, I didn't know. I just saw it a few...
it didn't leave a lasting impression on you?
No. I've seen it. When did I watch it?
Well, you
a few months ago.
You watched it a few months ago because you thought you were going to talk about it in May/June. But anyway, we're going to refresh our memories talking about it here today.
I remember what was on.
So yeah, let's get into the backstory. Okay, so the director of Filth is one John S. Bard. Bard from every pub in the town. Yeah, his I suppose the biggest film he's done, apart from Filth, obviously, is Stan and Ollie, which was obviously a biopic about Laurel and Hardy, starring Steve Coogan and John C. Reilly. I do remember it. I didn't see it.
I didn't see it.
No, I've no real interest in seeing that, to be honest. I'd watch a bit of Laurel. I honestly can't remember. I don't think it was it?
I think there could have been bits of it.
I don't mind an old Laurel and Hardy film, but I'm not overly pushed in seeing a film about their life, even though I obviously love Steve Coogan. We're drinking again, by the way, folks.
It's the only way to pull us through this.
And I also need to stand up every now and then during the recording to make sure my arse doesn't lock into a state of catatonia. But other than that, we should be fine. You're okay, yeah.
My rectum is tippy.
Your rectum of the year contender.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but maybe next year.
Maybe. There's always next year. And speaking of next year, the next film apparently that this John S. Bard is going to do is about the video game Tetris.
What?
Yeah. Fuck. I mean, I know we've had a lot of video game adaptations into films, but I wouldn't have thought Tetris was eagerly anticipated by anyone. Unless it's just about how the game was started and, so it's going to be a load of geeks sitting in a room talking about how, hey, what if we did this thing where there's loads of these things and they all come on top of each other?
That sounds very... That's the plot of a gay porno.
He also directed an episode of a cop drama from 2014 called Babylon, which I do not remember, but it was co-created by Danny Boyle, so that's why I've mentioned it here. It's a little... Maybe I should have left that for connecting lines. Huh?
Oh, yeah. A little morsel for that.
Indeed. But he's a genuine fan of Irvine Welsh, and he's read all his books several times, obviously including Filth. But
is there any proof for that?
Not really, no. No more proof than we have.
Well, I haven't read them all several times.
You just kind of nod and hum when I'm saying,
yes.
Well, this happened and that happened.
I did, yeah.
But he only had the thought of making Filth into a film after he met Irvine Welsh, so fair enough.
Must have thought he was a filthy bastard.
Maybe so. The kind of talks were in place for a long time, many years, about this film. It was regarded as unfilmable for a long time, which is fair enough, because I think we've said that before about a few stories.
In fairness, some of the other shit they filmed was
bad. Indeed. And the star, James McAvoy, apparently drank half a bottle of whiskey every night to get into this role, which is pretty admirable. Slightly different technique to Richard E. Grant, who was a teetotaler when he did probably the best drunkard on film ever. Whitnall. I don't know if you agree with that, though.
I don't.
I still remember showing you Whitnall and I for the first time, yourself and Trevor. And speaking of gay porn, it felt like I was showing you gay porn, because that was kind of the reaction I got from you. I'll never forget it. This was after we'd been to see Oasis in Park, Cork. Yeah. What a perfect way to end it. Perfect 24 hours to go back to my house and watch Whitnall and I. But no, he's having none of it. Went down like a fart in a swimsuit. Swimsuit? Spacesuit? Doesn't matter. Fart's never welcome, is it?
No, not really. Unless you're into that sort of thing. Some people are, not me.
Indeed. Yeah, so the film ultimately ended up grossing $9.1 million worldwide.
That's not too bad.
It's all right. I'd take it.
So would I.
Didn't write down how much it cost to make, mind you, but I don't think it took $9 million.
I wouldn't have cost that much.
It's not bad now, in fairness, budget-wise, but yeah, that's not a bad return.
Well, in fairness, it's a big step up from the previous efforts.
Oh my God, yeah. Christ. What was it called? Ecstasy.
The Acid House.
The Acid House, in fairness, yeah. I have a lot more love for the Acid House than I do for Ecstasy.
Oh, Ecstasy.
And this one falls somewhere in between, I think. But anyway, let's get into the breakdown, shall we?
Yeah. Okay.
So the movie starts, we hear Winter Wonderland, the song, and we're introduced first to Carol, in inverted commas, as we know. She's played by Shauna MacDonald, excuse me.
Shauna McDermott was from Serbia, wasn't she?
That was Shauna McDermott.
Oh, Shauna.
Yeah. Who is she? I don't know, we've made her up, but Shauna MacDonald is this Scottish lady who stars in this film. And also, we're going to play the Taggart game once again, because she was in Taggart.
Of course she was.
But we see her, she's sitting at the old dresser, getting ready to go out.
Like a boudoir.
Indeed. She's chatting away, talking a load of shite. She's bigging up old Bruce, of course, her husband, saying what a great lad he is and what a big Mickey he has and so on. And then it kind of cuts to an Asian chap in a tunnel getting horribly assaulted.
Getting battered to death.
Which is slightly different to what it was in the book. It was a black chap in the book. And then we're introduced to some, not familiar to us facially, but familiar characters name-wise. We have Ghosty here, Ghosty Gorman. But he's just known as Gorman in this. They don't call him Ghosty at all.
Yeah, it was a bit shit.
He's played by Martin Compston, a Scottish actor, best known for playing your man in Line of Duty. And I did have a connection between Line of Duty and Irvine Welsh, and I can't remember what it is now.
Lionel Duty.
Maybe it's just this.
That's probably it.
Lexo was there as well, the famous Lexo from, a couple of books we've read previously, but not as big a role in this. Ghosty does seem to take centre stage here, and it's almost implied that Ghosty is the leader of the gang, which certainly wasn't the case in the books. No, but it was ridiculous. They're sort of like it's like a throwback to like an 80s gang where they all had outrageous hair and wild clothes, as opposed to being what scumbags look like these days. He's a good actor, Martin Compston, but I think he's miscast here now as old Ghosty. They needed a complete filth bag for this. The whole lot of them, really. Yeah, they all were like, they're clean cut. They just had. They were, They were like the fucking bullies in Karate Kid. Yeah, it's just really an 80s fucking film, but all the bad people look the same, like Thriller or something. Indeed. But I suppose in the book, Ghosty is more at the centre stage of that gang than Lexo. But obviously, we know from previous books that Lexo is bad news as well. But the student, anyway, is saved by Carol. It's not really explained. Obviously, we know because we read the book what exactly happens. But in this, you're kind of wondering, how has this sexy woman come down the tunnel and whistled at this gang? Yeah, they just kind of... They shit themselves. They do, but they're kind of smirking as well as they recognise her, or look to recognise her at least. And that's that scene. And then it cuts to the star of the show, James McAvoy, Bruce. But he starts giving this speech about how great Scotland is, and it's not unlike a Renton speech where he's basically kind of being sarcastic. You know, it starts off well. He's talking about all the stuff that has been invented in Scotland: the steam engine, golf, whiskey, penicillin, and then, of course, the deep-fried Mars bar. But, he's definitely tongue-in-cheek when he's saying all this. And he kind of ends this speech down with the famous lines from the book, "Nobody plays the games like me, same rules apply." So You're kind of
Famous words.
straight away introduced to his kind of, arrogant way of life. It cuts to him then in the debriefing room and he lets off a nice fart. We get that Carmen music as well from the musical Carmen that was played in Trainspotting as well, actually, and countless other films, really. But we're introduced to the other coppers, a lot of the other main cast members.
Big coppers.
Some interesting characters here. Bob Toyle, of course, he's played by John Sessions. Whenever I see his name, I think of Ricky Gervais in The Office, where he has to name off 4 comic geniuses, and he says Milligan, Cleese, Everett, Sessions. But he's just playing a kind of dozy, old-fashioned police chief here. But he plays him well, I have to say. He has
the acting in this is a lot better than previous ones.
Definitely, yeah. They're well-established stars, the majority of them.
Yeah.
They've certainly...
They must have spent a few bob on this one, actually.
Definitely. 9.1 million, perhaps.
Keep the chain, filthy animal.
You see Bruce kind of imagining all of these other coppers as an exaggerated version of their character. So obviously we know from the book that Bob Toyle fancies himself as a screenwriter or a novelist. So Bruce is imagining him as a movie screenwriter. Next up is Peter Ingalls. He's played by a chap called Eamon Elliott. He's been in Game of Thrones. He's been in Star Wars. I don't really remember him in anything else, I have to say.
No.
He's kind of this by the book, almost too nice to be a copper type character. And Bruce, of course, assumes that he's gay because of this. Imagining him as a member of the Village People here. Who else we got? Dougie Gilman is a good character.
Well, Dougie.
I didn't write down what the actor's name is here, but he has been in Taggart. I know that because it tells me that on this sheet.
Well, the sheet wouldn't lie.
No. He was also... Oh, that's what it was. He was in Line of Duty as well.
I haven't watched Line of Duty.
Duty's pretty good, Jem. You should watch it. A lot of people weren't happy with the ending, but sure, whatever.
What happened? I'll skip you. I won't watch it.
It was all a dream.
Oh, was it?
No.
Fuck you, Bobby.
He was also in the thing most recently I've seen him in called Time. It's a Jimmy McGovern. No, this one starring Sean Bean and he was put away in prison. It was quite good. It was only a couple of episodes long, but this guy was in it. Totally unrecognisable to the way he is in this film, but I suppose there's nearly 10 years in the difference. But El Dougie is, racist, homophobic. I think he's got great comic delivery, in fairness to him. And of course, Bruce imagines him. Why can't I say the word imagines?
I don't know. There's a few words you're struggling with today.
Bruce imagines him as a Nazi.
Brian McCarty.
There you go. That's him. The very fellow. Next up, of course, Ray Lennox, who we know well from the book, played by Jamie Bell. This is a weird one. I suppose both of the main characters here I kind of pictured as a bit older in the book.
Definitely. And we're a good bit older, yeah.
Yeah. So Jamie Bell
and
here.
And more manky, I'd say, as well.
Indeed, of course. Jamie Bell, Billy Elliot himself. Been in a couple of other good things. He was in Nymphomaniac by Lars von Trier. Good old film. Everyone loves a good Nymphomaniac.
Well, it depends.
And I see he's going to be in a series on a good book that I read a while back, The Shining Girls. Nothing to do with The Shining book. Hopefully that'll be good. He's a kind of cokehead, youngest member of the crew here. Bruce imagines him as Scarface. Bruce imagines him as Scarface.
Elocution lessons, my dear friend.
Oh dear. Amanda Drummond is kind of the stuck-up, snooty busybody in the office who Bruce doesn't like whatsoever. She's played by Imogen Poots.
And interesting fact about her, she was actually the granddaughter of Mr. Drummond from Different Strokes.
If only she'd been there, she could have joined in the fun with Willis and co.
Willis and what was the sister? Kimberly was the sister.
What was the main lad called? Gary Coleman.
What's talking about Willis? He was. What was his name?
Everyone remembers Willis.
Yeah,
and it was him that said it, but I can't remember his name. Arnold, was it? Or am I thinking of Hey Arnold? Hey. No, that's Bill Cosby. We can't talk about him.
No, he's a pedo. Who was he called?
It's Gary Coleman. That's mad, isn't it? If anyone listening knows who Gary Coleman played in Different Strokes, please write into us at P.O. Box Poots.
Poots. Arnold Jackson.
I
It
know
was
it
Arnold.
was Arnold.
Right.
Yeah.
Fuck with Arnold. He
Anyway,
doesn't look like an Arnold.
no, he certainly wasn't as big as Hey Arnold.
No.
But anyway, we can't talk about him.
We divulge.
But yeah, Imogen Poots played Amanda Drummond. Good actress. Only watched her a while back in Green Room. Have you seen Green Room?
No.
It's good. I watched it with my son Connor. It's about this kind of punk, like modern day punk band, having made it big, playing shitholes around kind of the Oregon area. And they play this kind of neo-Nazi club, and they get involved in a murder at the club, and they're kind of locked down inside the Green Room, which would be why the film is called Green Room, I suspect.
Yes.
But Patrick Stewart is in it as well, playing the leader of the neo-Nazis, strangely
What
enough.
about Patrick Swayze?
No, he wasn't in it. He was dead by then, unfortunately.
Missed out there.
But speaking of Patrick Stewart, he, of course, played Charles Xavier, who was also played by James McAvoy.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But there you go. Imogen Poots was also in 28 Weeks Later, which was the sequel to 28 Days Later.
I thought 28 Days Later was all right.
28 Days Later. 28 Weeks Later isn't bad. It has a great start with Robert Carlyle. So there's two connecting lines there that have just thrown out of my arse. Danny Boyle and Robert Carlyle. Definitely is nearly time to stand up. But yeah, Miss Drummond, she's very prim and proper, as I say. Bruce, though, does imagine her as a sexy nymphomaniac, lining up a load of kind of Chippendale lads to take off for whatever she fancies. Gus Bain then is kind of the harmless old fart. He's played by Gary Lewis. He just has such a recognisable kind of Scottish journeyman actor face.
He's in them all.
He's in everything. He's definitely in Taggart. I didn't even have to look it up to know he'd been in Taggart, and he definitely was.
He was Taggart.
He was also Billy Elliot's dad in Billy Elliot. So there you go. It's just like the circle of life, really, Jen, isn't it? It all comes back to each other at the end of the day. Bruce imagines him as like this stupid schoolboy. So that's kind of the last of these little introductions of the fellow coppers in the cast. Toyle kind of tells Bruce that he wants him to head up this murder investigation. So we learn that this Asian chap was murdered. And of course, Bruce is happy with this because it puts him in line for the DI promotion that he wants. But he's also getting out there that he plans to skip off to Hamburg on vacation quite soon, and he doesn't want it to
interrupt his fun.
Indeed. Interestingly, it was Amsterdam in the book. Don't know why they changed it.
Yeah.
Even Ecstasy, the film, got to go to Amsterdam on location, but I suppose Hamburg's not a bad old spot either. I have been there. But then we get Bruce kind of starting his mind games, where he wants to kind of just wind up the other coppers who are going for the promotion. Indeed. He's playing mind games with Lennox. He's reminded him of a time he had a threesome with him and his wife's sister. I thought someone was coming in the door there.
Maybe it was his wife's sister.
But of course, his wife's sister was in the book, but she doesn't come into this at all. No. Not half as many women in this film get
scratching.
No, definitely not.
Which was disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, he gets kind of grubbier as the film goes on.
Not grubby enough.
But he doesn't resemble.
He was just hawking the
whole
lot.
You see bits by the end of the book. The description of him.
Wanking 12 times a day to awful shite.
He does it a couple of times in this.
Yeah, but
I suppose Carol is constantly mentioned, and he's always being told or saying how lucky he is to have her, which obviously is the irony of it all. They then raid this guy Oki's apartment. Oki is mentioned in the book to a lesser degree. He's the chap that they obviously go in and blackmail when they find this young one in there. He's played by a guy who was also in Taggart, Ian. Jesus Christ, how do you pronounce this man's name? He's just called Ian.
Ian D. Castrator.
Castrator.
Ian D. Castrator.
That's him.
That's fucking ridiculous.
It's something else, isn't it? But Lennox is kind of in this. He's still making kind of nancy comments about the young girl that's in the flat here, who we know is Conrad Donaldson, the lawyer's daughter. QC, indeed. Bruce kind of stops himself a few seconds into abusing her, though, which is different to the book. He goes all the way with the smell of spunk and Guinness in the air, according to Irvine Welsh.
Yeah, I don't think he stopped himself really, in fairness.
I think he does. He seems not from a guilty conscience, but just because he says she's shite at oral sex.
Yeah, she wasn't doing it right.
No, but even in this, the kind of flat, the complex is far too clean looking. The whole film is quite clean.
It is clean.
There's an awful lot of the colour scheme in this flat area, this complex, actually reminded me of Kubrick again. I don't know, maybe I go around getting reminded of Kubrick films a lot, but any kind of, bright colours in the landscape like that. It certainly didn't look like the worst parts of
anywhere.
It
was grand.
Not Edinburgh.
Yeah, no, fuck that.
But of course, they tell him the story to put the shits up him about the beast who'll be waiting for him in prison if he doesn't help them out here.
Getting buggered to death.
Again, McAvoy himself played a character called the Beast in the films Split and Glass. So there you go. We get introduced then to Chrissy, who is she a next door neighbour of his? I don't think they really say. Oh no, she's not. No. She's Dougie's wife.
Yeah, she's one of their wives.
So the next door, he was knocking off the next door neighbour, was he? The footballer's wife.
No,
in the book.
No, I don't think he was.
She must be the only one he wasn't knocking off.
He wasn't, but he was. No, this one was.
Is another copper's wife?
Yes.
She's played by Kate Dickie, who is a good actress in fairness to her. She's in Game of Thrones. She was in Star Wars. She was in Taggart. But she's well up for the old choking sex here, a bit of rough and tumble.
She's quite demanding in the old bedroom.
Indeed.
Unlike the book where she had to be coaxed into it and then she wasn't.
Well, she was well up for it by the end.
But this one she was straight away the predator. What it was.
Yeah. She tires him out all right.
Yeah.
But while he's having sex with her, he's kind of imagining Carol. He's imagining El Drummond. Miss Drummond, not Mr. And sadly, Peter Ingalls as well by the end, which scares him off. So that's kind of the first of where you see Bruce having these hallucinations where he pictures somebody else's head or face on whoever he's with. But even with her, he's playing the mind games. He's telling her, she's only pretending to love him and doesn't care about him. So he
doesn't really love.
And then kind of she's assuring him that she's loyal, but he's just kind of winding her up as well as everyone else.
Just string it along so we can get it right.
Yeah. And then straight away cuts to the scene where he's actually with Dougie. And Dougie's telling him once again how great he is to have Carol. And then he's winding Dougie up and telling Dougie to look out for Lennox and so on. So he's doing the same thing with everyone. He's doing it with Gus as well. You get this constant kind of breaking of the fourth wall where James McAvoy is looking at the camera after he's done something dastardly. So you get a real kind of comic atmosphere with this film. Obviously a lot of the stuff...
It's not as dark.
No,
as other stuff.
Definitely not. But obviously a lot of the stuff in the book is very dark.
It's extremely dark.
So, I don't know, would it make for a better film if they didn't have all this fucking comedy in it?
It could, it would have. What the fuck? The book was still very funny, even though it was a bit dark.
Yeah, no, it is. The book was definitely tongue-in-cheek as well. Yeah. Like, it gets to the point where sometimes he's doing really dark passages and then he'll just cut to, his dark humour. And for a while it can almost take you by surprise when it comes in and you don't know whether, is this intentional here or not? But it's definitely intentional, I think, in the book here. It's some of the stuff is too ridiculous not to laugh at. But, you see Bruce then, he's walking down the street once again, he's just walking past drug deals, he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But then he's kind of taking the piss out of a homeless fella and telling him, it's going to be pretty cold tonight.
It's going to be cold tonight, son.
Coldest winter known to man kind of thing. But yet, then he runs across to save a fella who's having a heart attack. And I don't know, is it just because of the woman, the wife that's there, that he wants to do that? Or did he actually really want to help this?
He wanted to ride, I'd say.
I thought, I mean, that came into the book a fair bit where some sort of female would remind him of somebody in his past, i.e. that girl that, what was it, she did the worst look known to man. She was already nearly in a wheelchair and she was struck by lightning and Bruce threw her off a cliff, or I think I added that bit in, but still, it's pretty bad.
It's good.
Yeah, he looks genuinely distraught when he's not able to save this bloke.
I think the child had an effect on him as well.
Yeah, of course. That's the other thing that he always, and that was even in the book as well, any sort of mention of children or whatever kind of sets him on the road to despair. Then we get introduced to his doctor, I didn't write down the doctor's name, but he's played, of course, by the very famous Jim Broadbent, Mr. Slater from Only Fools. He was in an episode of Tales You Unexpected.
Dr. Rossi.
Dr. Rossi, there you go.
Semi-Italian.
He's quite strange.
Yeah, it's farcical, this one.
Yeah, I mean, you get the real doctor for a couple of seconds who couldn't give a shit about Bruce. He's just writing him off here, writing him out prescription.
Here, stop scratching your hole. Take these tablets.
Wishing him a happy new year and get the hell out of there. You do see a picture on the wall of the tapeworm though, and Bruce kind of looks at it for a second. Does it cut straight to the crazy version of the doctor?
No, it does, yeah. At the start, it's mostly normal and then a little bit of crazy, and then it gets mostly crazy and a tiny bit of normal. Yeah.
So, and the doctor just keeps doing this where he'll, say something ridiculous to Bruce and then end it with, eh? It's quite strange. But this is how they kind of get away from not using the tapeworm the way they did in the book.
Yeah.
I don't know how they would have done that, but it still would have been nice for them to at least try.
The one when I was there talking to him, perhaps. Special effects these days, that wouldn't be
exactly. Well, I was going to say, even the acid house had the old baby inside the womb talking away, so they could have done that with the worm as well, just inside James McAvoy the whole time. But they went with this route anyway, which is still pretty strange, but at least they got the worm in there. There's one bit where he's holding the worm as well, is he? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen a couple of versions of it. There was one on film 4 that looked like it was cut a bit. I'm pretty sure when I first saw the film, there was a bit where the doctor is holding an actual tapeworm in his arms, like almost stroking it like a cat.
What else are you going to do with a tapeworm?
That's it. Stick it up your arse. We see him in his house then. He's in a much bigger house here.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's like a Victorian.
And it's not that. It doesn't. The few dirty place. That's it. It's not.
It's not. And it looks like, it doesn't even look like it's in the suburbs. It looks like it's just off a kind of high street, one of these inner city Victorian houses or whatever. Yeah, and we don't get introduced to the footballer neighbour either, sadly.
Not even a bit of
who I didn't think was very interesting in the book anyway. But we see him wanking away to a bit of old porn. But he gets upset when a black man comes on the screen. It kind of puts him off. So to get his kind of libido going again, he gets on the phone and rings up old Bunty.
Oh, Bunty.
Cunty Bunty, as he calls her, and starts doing it. We see him looking at a comedy show and spots out Frank Sidebottom. So he starts doing the old voice,
concocts his plan.
Ooh, Bunty, I hear you like it up the bum bum. And so on. But straight away, I'm thinking, you're ringing her from your landline in your house. How is that not instantly just traced whenever?
It was definitely over 30 seconds.
Not by long though. Didn't take him long to get there in the end. I suppose that starts the ball rolling on the whole kind of side story with him and old Bladesy. So we get to the lodge meeting. The lodge meeting is a lot more respectable as well than what was described at times in the book.
Wasn't as much fucking arse baiting in it.
Definitely not. And old Bladesy is introduced. He's played by Eddie Marsan, who's a brilliant actor, one of the best actors out there, certainly in the UK.
As nerds.
No, he's played him. He's played. I only seen him in a thing a couple of weeks ago. It was on film 4. White Boy Rick. Have you seen that?
No.
It's quite good.
Is it?
It's based on a true story of this lad that got caught up in a gang in the 80s in I can't remember what city it was in America. But anyway, he got done and he only got out of prison there in the last few years. He was literally put away for a long time. I don't think he ever killed anyone, but they were saying it's like one of the longest sentences for somebody that's never actually killed someone but was involved in a lot of drug dealing as well. But yeah, Eddie Marsan is very good. He was in Red Riding years ago. It was a book by David Peace and they made it into a very good TV show. You should look that one up.
Probably won't.
You will. But you got a famous line here where Bladesy says to him, well, why did you join the force, Bruce? And he's telling him that I heard there was a lot of corruption in it. And he says, so you wanted to stamp it out? And he's like, no, I wanted to take part in it. He's kind of advising Bladesy on his marriage then.
On his life in general.
Well, yeah, definitely. But basically his main advice is to keep them well shagged. Which is ironic considering his own marriage, of course.
It's fallen to bits.
Yes, the worst kept secret in the film, really. But Bladesy is going to Hamburg with him. So they're both looking forward to that, obviously. But when El Bladesy goes to the toilet, Bruce robs 200 quid out of his jacket. So he's just an absolute prick. We get a brief appearance then by Hector the farmer as well.
Yeah.
Played by another Ron Donachie. He's also been in Taggart. He's in Game of Thrones as well. There is actually a deleted scene. It's available online, and it's the bit with old Hector and the dog and Bruce bringing the prostitute to try and film a bit of bestiality. What's the name of the girl that's in it? She's a decent actress as well. Natasha O'Keefe plays the prostitute. She was in Peaky Blinders. But they cut it from the theatrical release of this film, obviously, because it doesn't have bestiality in it. It just has implied bestiality or intended.
Just wanking the dog off. Yeah.
They don't really show that either, though, do they? It's a very comical scene altogether.
Yeah, it is very funny.
Yeah, so obviously in this theatrical release, it just implies that Hector is a drug dealer, not a pornographer.
He doesn't look like a drug dealer.
Well, he does sort Bruce out with something. That's what he gives him.
Cat amphetamine or something.
It's all the one. But when I love the bit where Bruce shakes hands with him and then is kind of wincing afterwards and calling him a fucking pervert. But Bob Toyle is chief. He's also a member of the lodge, and he wants Bruce to find this crank collar to burn.
Start out Brother Blades.
Or Schwank collar.
Yeah.
Brother Blades. They finally meet then, Bunty and Bruce. They're introduced by Bladesy. She's quite taken by Bruce, of course.
The Hitler.
Yeah. Well, we get to her, the actress anyway. Bruce kind of wins the two of them over by assuring them that he's going to, he gives her advice on how to humour the caller and kind of assures Bladesy that they're going to sort it out.
They're in safe hands.
Yes. The house is pretty crazy. That's a real 80s relic of it. Yeah. And all these kind of jungle animals everywhere, leopard print, rugs.
Some hair in her, fairness.
Yeah, and a Tarzan doorbell as well. But, he's kind of flirting and patronising with her the whole time. What do we get? We get a file on Ghosty then introduced, and he's just named as Graham Gorman. Doesn't give us AKA at all. He's in Toyle's office as well. Mark Kubrick mentions where he spots a 2001 Space Odyssey poster on Bob Toyle's wall. You see Bob Toyle writing or looking at his old screenplay as well.
Very obvious. You see he's throwing it in the fucking drawer.
For a second or two, he forgets he has it in his hand. Yet more this kind of talk about how great Carol is, and he's a great lad for looking after her and having her waiting on him hand and foot. Everything's rosy at home, of course. He does convince Bob Toyle to let him go to Germany, but he's not happy about Toyle saying that Drummond is going to take over the case in his absence. So it's not as evident as it was in the book, but there's obviously sexism here, there's racism.
Yeah, it's
homophobia.
Yeah, it's not as dark at all.
No, but it's all implied. I suppose they have to wrap it all up into an hour and a half film as well, whatever. Oh yeah, so he traces Ghosty to an old flower shop then, and he heads off. He goes inside. He leaves. I think he has Jamie Bell, Lennox with him, but leaves him in the car. And the shop assistant here is actually played by James McAvoy's real life sister, Joy. Yeah, and he calls her a fat bastard in the shop as well, or on his way out. But she kind of recognises him somehow, but she just doesn't know from where. We see him then, his mood totally changes when he meets this woman again, the widow of her man that died of a heart attack.
A bit normal.
Yeah, Mary is her name. She has her son with her, and again, as you say, this kind of has a strange hold on him, reminding him of something. We go back to him then, he's in his house, he's at the same dresser that Carol was sitting at, and he's about to take his pills when he has a vision of a boy named Davy or David behind him. So obviously we know from the book who this is, but it takes a while before it's explained what happens. But when he turns back to the camera, he's got the face of a pig then. So obviously this is Filth. This is the famous pig from the cover of the book as well, which is good to have that included. But the pig mask scenes really kind of have it hit home how kind of self-centered he is and gluttonous and depraved. But no offense to real pigs, they're grand.
Yeah, they taste nice.
They do taste nice indeed. Just not an admirable behaviour to have for a human, I suppose.
Lying around filth.
Yeah, exactly, and looking like pigs. But this kind of reminded me of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas as well. All these hallucinations. There's a lot of.
They start coming thick and fast.
They really do, yeah. And even his face when he's looking at it kind of recoils in horror, just like Johnny Depp's did in the film Fear and Loathing. But he decides then that the pills that he's been prescribed by the doctor aren't going to help him with this. So he switches to some coke instead. We get a whole scene then that really replaces the kind of worm sections of the book, as we said. So it's this kind of inner dream fucking vision of an exaggerated version of the doctor. He's got an enlarged head like Megamind.
It's massive.
And he's talking away about tapeworms, and you see the picture on the wall again, which is really the only mention of it. But as I say, I'm convinced I saw a kind of animatronic version of a worm in some version of the film I've seen.
Maybe you just dreamt of her.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised.
A worm in your hand.
I suppose it's a nice Easter egg for readers of the book. But if you hadn't read the book, then it's not going to make any difference one way or the other.
No.
Oh yeah, it cuts down to him wanking in the toilet to an old page 3 girl, but he can't finish off. He gets a bit frustrated. So he takes out a pen and writes on the wall, Peter Ingalls sucks cocks.
So begins his journey to destroy Peter.
Indeed. Great amusement out of this. And then it's very good the way he does it. He comes in and then kind of conducts an outrage, and he's determined to have an investigation into who does this. Indeed, yeah. So it's very similar to Begbie shouting that he's going to find out who glassed the bird. I love the way he says here, James McAvoy, somebody's playing Silly Billy here. And I'm going to find out who it is. We cut then to Ghosty and Lexi leaving the brothel.
Sexy Lexi.
Ghosty and Lexo are leaving a brothel then. And I love this. Lexo says, did you do her up the arse? And he's like, what other way is there? I'm not a puff. Bruce, of course, goes into the brothel then afterwards with, what's his face? Jamie Bell.
Dickie Bell.
To get Ghosty and Lexo's DNA. He's obviously paid off the madame of the brothel. And again, in another kind of non-speaking role, the actual madame of the brothel is played by none other than Trudy Styler, who is Sting's real life in real life.
Jesus, Sting.
Real life.
Fucking hell, I would have thought he needs a lot of cash he has.
It's a very strange role for her. I mean, I've seen her in other things. Actually, no, I tell a lie. I've seen his first wife in an episode of Tales the Unexpected that I actually spoke about on the old podcast. But this is his second wife.
How many wives has he got?
I think he only had 2 in fairness. But old Trudy used to be the next door neighbour, apparently. And he hooked up with her then.
Knocking her off.
That's it, you know yourself.
He's into that out with tantra sex, isn't he?
He is.
Riding for about 4 days.
Yeah.
It's a bit pointless, really, isn't it?
He gets there in the end, you know. I do like the line here by Bruce when he's holding up the violet of fucking semen. He goes, I never thought I'd see the day where I left the knocking shop with more spunk than I came in with.
It's not a great way to go now, apparently.
Oh. We get the Christmas party then.
Yeah.
And of course, this is the
setup for El Peter.
Yeah. The penis competition. No, this is more for Lennox.
Lennox,
he's kind of
afterwards he gets Peter.
Yeah, it's all in one night, indeed. But yeah, the penis size competition is first to kind of get. He knows from having a threesome with Lennox that he has a small Mickey, so he does his old setting up, everyone going in, sticking their flute on the photocopier. He
doesn't seem like the most tech-savvy man, yet he's the only one who knows how to enlarge his penis.
He's the only one who thought of it.
I suppose, yeah.
They do it all to the sounds of Mr. Vane, of course. We haven't really mentioned the soundtrack here. We mentioned the Christmas song at the start, but there's a few good songs here. I'm not saying Mr. Vane's one of them, but it's certainly a memorable one.
Who was the copper with the actual big Mickey? The owl lad, wasn't it?
That was the Alfred Gus, delighted with himself, But the woman, the size queen, as she's called here, is played by Pollyanna McIntosh, who was in Taggart. She's also in The Walking Dead as well. But she ends up a bit disappointed when Bruce finally kind of does the dirty deed. And again, I like his laugh at this point when he doesn't care less. Couldn't care less. He's doing the business.
I had an iPhone and that's all.
That's it. Then we go to the club. This is where Bruce has paid off some gay chap who's played by Robert Lang, not Robert Langer, who was also in Taggart. To come up and pretend he knows Ingalls. So this is a funny scene. Well. Yeah, so he's knocking on the window. And Dougie is brilliant here, where he's totally fucking outraged. Yes, quite homophobic and outraged with Ingalls. But a row ensues And when he punches Ingalls and he lands down on his crotch, I love how Dougie here, get your fucking face off my cock, you fucking cocksucker. But even Bob Toyle then the next day is really good when he's kind of complaining about the situation. He's saying, we have a Nancy boy and a Nazi in the office. We can't be having this, Bruce. Even the bit where he's saying to Bruce, I won't deny that I find the idea of two men together absolutely disgusting. But of course, Bruce acts as the
voice of reason.
Indeed. And sorts it all out, all to his advantage, of course.
So he thinks.
Yeah, more of him being great and having a great relationship with Bruce, with Carol and so on.
With everyone.
Oh, absolutely. At this point, it seems that way, doesn't it? He's on the pig's back, as it were. Pun intended.
Then,
that's it. Then we get the trip to Hamburg. He's looking up Bladesy looking up the index for all the kind of museums and whatnot. I like Bruce here. Just look up, search for Fanny. He destroys a model ship in the museum and runs off blaming Bladesy then.
It's not a good trip for Bladesy.
No, definitely not. It ends in tears. He drugs him, of course. There's a funny bit where, before that, there's a funny bit where you see Bladesy dancing around with a couple of gay lads in a club, but then he's kind of losing it in the hotel room. He's breaking shit of course, the glasses get broken, which is terrible. We get more a pig boy then in the corner, quite disturbing. Bruce heads off on his own then. He's kind of losing it on the Reaper ban. I know how that feels. Been there, done that. Mugged. I was mugged on the Reaper ban, actually.
Were you?
Yeah.
Did you know you were being mugged, or you just...
I did, as it was happening, yeah. They did the L where one fella kind of come up, hey, my friend, and then the other fella kind of slipped his hand up my arse or whatever.
That's not really a mugging. That's just a more pleasure.
No, but they definitely... Stupid me, I don't think I had it in my back pocket. I had the wallet in my side pocket. Or
I thought you were talking about your wallet.
No, I was definitely talking about my wallet. But I did actually grab him. But then he passed it to the first fucker. And I actually had one of them on the ground and then kind of realised you don't have my wallet and you also look quite fucking young. So that was the end of it. And I was roaring drunk as well.
You should have batted the head off him.
Well, I had to go back to the old hostel and stand in the corridor in my underpants and ring Siobhan and tell her to cancel my cards and whatnot. But it didn't spoil the weekend in any shape or form.
Why would it?
But back to the lads here. There's no real emphasis on his hygiene or his appearance.
Or his arse scratching.
No. It's more about his mental state than his physical state, I think.
Yeah, but it's much better in the book where they go hand in hand. There's no flaky arse crack or anything here.
No, they don't. Again, this is a bit like Trainspotting, where obviously Ewan McGregor looked pretty fucking manky, but at the end of the day, they still needed a heartthrob as the star of the film, and they're kind of probably doing something similar here. But yeah, there's real emphasis on the mental aspects here. You know, he's not taking his bipolar medicine that the doctor has prescribed.
His worm tablets.
Yeah, I mean, the most he kind of gets here is a bit of a stubble, and you know, they don't even show him kind of flaking off any of his stuff on his pants
for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, they don't mention that at all. He comes back anyway from Hamburg, and El Toyle breaks the news that Drummond is going to be the permanent lead on the case.
He's not happy.
No, he's not. He's calling her Mandy. She's pulling him up on his sexism. They actually get interrupted by this girl Mary once again with the sun coming in. Watch this. She's knitted him a heart scarf. He gives her his home phone number and address right there in the corridor.
Yeah, hey, no bother. Anything you want.
We cut then to kind of this macho coke taken without Lennox around at his place. Lennox, of course, saying he's going for the promotion. This just pisses Bruce off once again. Bruce winding him up about Gus, but he also puts out his fag on his sofa, the prick.
Yeah, and when he goes to the Jacks.
Yeah.
It's just a rat.
We see Carol then, or Carol inverted commas. It looks like she's in some sort of sex club, gay bar, I don't know what it is.
Some sort of intercourse island.
Indeed. But she's been a bit harder on Bruce now. She's saying that he definitely better get this promotion, you know. You see Bruce himself then at home. This is a bit weird. He's kind of watching a home video of his family doing a bit of baking or whatever. but then he's ringing Bunty at the same time.
Crack him off.
Yeah. I think he freezes the screen, doesn't he, at Carol, while he's talking to Bunty. And he's kind of indulging himself on what he's told her to say, basically reveal a bit more about herself while he cracks one off to Carol. Not like a good cry wank at the end of the day.
Crank,
August wank. More of the kind of choke shagging at Chrissy then.
I don't think he likes Chrissy too much.
No, I don't think she likes him either. No. Kind of an angry fuck at the best of time. A weird scene then, hilarious all the time. I don't know how this came about, but it's Carol getting picked up by a punter, and when she gets into the car, it's none other than David Soul, aka Hutch from Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah. How the fuck to get him?
I don't know. When I remember, it was obviously a good few years since I read the book, so when this film came out, I thought to myself, he must have been a David Soul fan in the book, and he's into some shite music, as we know, or questionable music, but I don't think David Soul is mentioned in the book at all, so I don't know why that is, but a good song, Silver Lady, stand here for a few bars anyway. And a little bit of trivia, David Soul's real daughter, China, was one of the singers that were sitting in the back seat, apparently. So,
China Soul,
that's her name. Well, I don't know what her surname is. That's her dad anyway, so probably
China Soul.
But it's a strange one, all right. Michael Bolton would have been a better choice, obviously.
The film was missing a bit of Bolton.
Yeah, it's a strange one. It was straight into kind of Christmas Day. Then we get Shakin' Stevens, Merry Christmas, everyone, and bit of Coke, bit of whiskey, and then barfing out the side of his car. And I thought this was a good scene actually, where you hear Shakin' Stevens and he's there in a fucking hula hoop with the nagging on Christmas morning before he heads into the office to work then. And I love this bit as well where Dougie comes in and it says, she's fucking left me, and it's just Bruce again fucking breaking his shite laughing. That's one of the things that McAvoy got perfect, was just this real fucking sadistic laugh at other people's misfortune. But he's laughing on the other side of his kisser when Gus comes in and he has the face of an elephant, and you see McAvoy fucking just losing it again here, but trying to stay normal even though he's talking to a fucking elephant.
What the fuck is going on?
Davey appears to him again, the brother, and you get Bruce saying to him, it wasn't my fault, so you're starting to get a backstory there.
Even though it was his fault.
Yeah, but they don't really go into that in the book at all. There's no mention of his father, the fake father, the beast being his real father. None of the stuff with the Cole. None of it. Is the Cole mentioned? I think
it's Cole mentioned. The flashback at the end.
Yeah, the doctor does say it. Yeah, Bladesy calls in on his way down south to see his parents. But Bruce insists on him coming in and staying.
He shows him the fucking expensive whiskey.
Yeah, but then gives him absolute shite. And this is after Bladesy has brought him a good old bottle. But leaves Bladesy in fucking bits. But this is where he gets him to do an impression of Frank Sidebottom. I'm Frank Sidebottom. I'm Frank Sidebottom.
Roar it.
And then another great scene.
Squeaky,
Yeah, a little bit. Eddie Marsden's great in this. Another good scene then the next morning where Bladesy's stopping off somewhere at a bridge and is puking into his hands.
Things are bad when you're puking into your own hands.
Yeah, on your way to your parents' house for Christmas dinner or Stevens' Day dinner at this stage.
Yeah, you missed Christmas Day.
Yeah, you came up smiling on Stevens' Day. Boxing Day to our UK listeners.
Oh, two of these.
Bruce, of course, slips into Bunty in every way possible.
Yes, slips it into her.
But she's quite angry when she's hopping on top of him as well. And turns into a scary bird. This is probably the most scary of the old hallucinations, I have to say.
It's not a great look.
Pretty freaky. Put you off your stroke.
I don't think he was doing the stroking. She was doing the stroking.
She was doing most of it. I'm stroking. That's what I've been doing. Remember that song?
No.
I'll send it on to you. It's very good. I can't remember the name of the guy who sings it, but he's this kind of tongue-in-cheek soul singer. It's literally, just look up Stroking song on YouTube.
Yeah, if you just look up Stroking, we get something else.
But yeah, Bruce, accidentally, on purpose, plays her the tape then of
yes.
And so this obviously convinces Bunty that it was Bladesy all along, so she's pretty disgusted with that. This is where we get the doctor in Division kind of explaining what happened with Davy. Brotherly love, brotherly shove is what he says to him. And the father had called him Filth, of course, and that's the only real explanation for, I suppose, the title of the film. Obviously, we know from the book that there's a lot of other reasons as well. And the film is pretty filthy in a lot of parts as well.
Could have been filthier.
Yeah, he really starts to go downhill though here. Drummond finds him in the women's toilets. In the book, he's in a car with her after they've gone to an investigation, but they do it pretty well here. Yeah, he's starting to lose it here big time. She's obviously expressing concern for him, but yet he still kind of talks to her like shit. He can't help himself. He nearly hits her as well, of course, when she brings up the photocopy enlargement. He's not happy with that at all, coming out in public. But then he breaks down again. He says that he
was doing too much crime. He didn't do that much in the film.
Well, that's the book. He certainly broke down a couple of times in the book. But I suppose this is one of the aspects of bipolar behaviour coming in, maybe. I'm no expert, but he's not well, that's for sure.
I don't think it was the bipolar. I think it was the glorious amounts of whiskey and cocaine that sort of had the effect.
I think it's a bit of everything. But he does break down and says he used to be good at his job and that he was a good person. But this is where he finally reveals that, Carol has left him. He thinks his family has left him. But at this point, yet more hallucinations. Drummond turns into a kind of a witch. So he just goes psycho on her again and just gets out of there. He goes to visit Bladesy, who's obviously since been arrested for
He's in jail.
Crank calls.
Okay. I couldn't imagine you'd get sent down that quick for a couple of crank calls.
This is it, yeah. It's a pretty trial by fucking fire, all right. But he's kind of acting disgusted with Bladesy straight away. Yeah, and he, of course, attacks him. But and Bladesy, it's quite disturbing here the way Bladesy just keeps shouting, Bruce, I love you, Bruce.
That's true. Fucking hell.
Yeah, and then now
Bladesy. There's a bit of dribbling as well.
There is, yeah. Bladesy turns into a lion then. It's just a bit of a strange choice of animal for him. But anyway, he gets the hell out of there. He's kind of disturbed by this. Chrissy comes to visit him then for the last time. Tells him that Dougie tried to kill himself when he found out about the two of them. So that's kind of a mixture. I remember there was another character in the book who tried to kill himself, jumped off a bridge, and Bruce was kind of laughing his whole off at this. But they've kind of combined a few character traits in this to different characters. Chrissy then really forcefully forces herself on him.
Rapes him.
And they basically have sex again. And Bruce, this really disturbing. Bruce starts hallucinating then that she's Dougie on top of him, hopping up and down, but as Hitler, but holding up his hands like jazz hands, but he's got obviously the cuts from trying to kill himself. So it's very disturbing. And then this is where we finally get the secret of the film revealed, where he's on his own and Carol's voice changes into his, and then we see Bruce himself kind of dressed,
has a beard,
tarting himself up as Carol at the dresser. This is obviously where in the book the font changed. There'd been the different font for him and for Carol, and they kind of merge into one here. And then straight away you see him out on the street, and Ghosty and co pick him up.
It's just I didn't get this bit.
Well, this was in the book he kind of went looking for trouble, dressed as Carol. And this is how he'd had a couple of run-ins with Ghosty and co, and they kind of half recognised him. Now they're convinced.
It's him.
Yeah, obviously the beard.
He has a beard, and a fuck off Adam's apple.
And it's kind of obviously revealed in flashbacks that it was Bruce all along. But he didn't kill the Asian student. He did try to help him. It was Ghosty and co that killed him. At least that's what I got from this. Obviously in the book we know he definitely killed the black guy. For basically, it's never really said if it's the same black guy.
But in this one, did he not? He whistled and they all ran off, and then he was there. Oh, you all right? You all right?
And then finished them off.
But no, it didn't say. It didn't show him.
But
he was dead.
Right.
So I don't know.
So, but we don't really know whether Bruce finished him off or whether he was already dead. Yeah.
I don't know if he had a horn either to finish him off.
I don't know. It didn't show that either. But they bring him to the disused building. Not as relevant as it was in the book, because obviously in the book this was the murder scene.
Yeah.
That kind of really dark, memorable first chapter or first scene where Bruce dresses Carol, kills this black fella. But we do get Ghosty kind of intending to kill him and torch the place. Smoky bacon, as Lexo says. But
I don't like it a smoky bacon apparently.
Yeah, so do I. Not in this situation though. But it's very homoerotic then after that. It's the fight ensues. We haven't gotten
face off.
Yeah, we haven't gotten that much into Ghosty's character, but clearly he's aroused by the violence. He's aroused by the cross dressing. I don't know.
But he's tiny.
Yeah,
he's a little fucking square.
But James McAvoy's not huge either, in fairness.
Yeah, but like he's supposed to be a woman. He's dressed up as a woman, and this little fart's there.
Well, the only thing I remember about Ghosty from the book is that he, was an albino, whatever.
Yeah, but he was a tough nut.
Yeah,
shall we say?
Of course, they all were.
This little fart didn't look.
I think it was always size-wise. I mean, obviously Begbie in the film isn't particularly big either.
Yeah, but he looks hard.
Yeah,
this fella looks. No,
it definitely.
Like never even fucking shave.
It's definitely miscast. Yeah, no doubt about it. But anyway, as they're fighting and kind of snogging, dry ride. Bruce bites his tongue and then just fucks him out the windows. That was quite comical looking. The rest of them they don't have that whole bit from the book where Lexo and that are trying to get in the room. They just fuck off. And we don't get Bruce trying to escape down the drain pipe and falling into shrubbery. Basically, we just get Ingalls and Drummond turning up. And Bruce kind of lying on the floor looking sorry for himself.
It's not looking well for you, Bruce.
Yeah. But he does confide in Peter that he just wanted to keep Carol close to him. But obviously...
It's a strange way of keeping her close.
Yeah. I mean, I think it all falls into place probably for all of these other characters of what he's been up to, It never really comes out that he was the one that set up Ingalls, but they probably all know, Toyle goes to visit him then. He seems somewhat sympathetic, but demotes him down to uniform.
Traffic duty as well.
Yeah. Yeah, Lennox comes to see him then and reveals that he's gotten the DI job. And he's obviously much more swarmy at him, talking down to Bruce. He kind of winks and lets him know that they know about the Frank calls as well. So obviously that means Bladesy's gotten out, which we learn shortly. Starts calling him Little Piggy as well.
He's completely destroyed at this stage, though.
Oh, yeah, completely. He doesn't even talk for this whole scene, This is... And again, he looks fucked, but he doesn't look anything like the bag of fucking filth, literally,
that was in the book. Fucked.
Yeah.
Just looks like a bit of a hangover.
But Lennox, as he's leaving, turns into, I think it's an antelope, I'm not sure. Some sort of beast, anyway. We see Bruce in the supermarket then, picking up some... The Minotaur, maybe so. Mantar. Bruce is in the supermarket getting some booze. Not the old purple tin.
No, yeah, that was very disappointing.
Yeah. But he sees Carol and Stacey, the daughter, with the new man. Isn't it? No. Carol is his ex, the actual real Carol. And Stacey is his daughter, across the way at the tills with her new man. Then he meets Mary. She kind of startles him with the sun and he drops the wine.
Should have been a few cans.
Definitely, yeah. He didn't look classy enough to be drinking wine. And certainly not one bottle of it. But she sees the state of him then, and then Bruce says that he's actually undercover. But, he grabs her arm and says, "Oh, don't leave." Just acts totally mental. But she does, when he goes home, he gets a voicemail from Mary to say that they'll call around to see him. But Bruce is in the shower at this point, washing away the filth, perhaps. Not in the book. He stays filthy the whole way in the book.
There's not a single wash in the whole book.
Definitely not. He definitely doesn't appear anywhere near as dirty hygiene-wise or any other way. We get a weird version of Creep by Radiohead then, as he plays, he gets into his PC uniform and he's been in the booze. So this is totally different to the end of the book, which was just as dark as it could get. Yeah,
the end of the book was pretty dark.
Yeah, hard to read. Here he kind of has what looks to be a whole change of heart and wants to kind of change his life around at last. But he does to a certain degree in terms of getting... But he gives up the booze for, 10 minutes. And then he makes this videotape that he sends to Bladesy.
Yeah, he's the
kind
best
of
mate ever.
Yeah, so he's telling Bladesy to advising him on how to get his life in order. Yeah, get rid of the glasses, toughen up, and he might
himself Bunty.
Yeah, he might find a Bunty wants to. Yeah, he needs to make Bunty want him more, show some passion, and he does apologise to him as well, which is more than he does in the book. And we see that Bunty has returned to El. Well, obviously she knows now that it was fucking Bruce and not Bladesy that was making the calls. Indeed, she's happy enough. Someone's at Bruce's door then. We see a silhouette of a woman and a child, but we don't know who it is. Is it Mary and the son, or is it Carol? We just don't know. We never learn.
No.
But Bruce
didn't exist in real life.
Well, I imagine she did at some point. But Bruce, one final time, breaks the fourth wall then as he looks to the camera and says, same rules apply, before hanging himself with Mary's lovely knitted heart scarf. And we get Billy Ocean then at the end. Love really hurts without you.
Yeah, I thought that was the best part of the film.
It's a great, great song. It really is.
It's fucking brilliant.
This kind of weird...
It's a weird ending then.
Yeah, with the it's kind of like a fucking... What were they called?
Who Framed Roger Rabbit sort of shit.
Yeah, or just the Bugs Bunny cartoons. Yeah, so Bruce is kind of like Porky the Pig. It's quite good. You see him dressed in drag at one point. There's a weird bit
all the time with Billy Ocean is playing the background.
Yeah, and it's kind of all little nods to the proper film where he's jumping out of a married chicken's bedroom.
Yeah. You
see a noose hanging from a tree behind the wolf. A weird bit where a bird has a worm coming out of its arse. Well, which is obviously a nod to the book.
In fairness, you're going to eat worms all day. Yeah. Surely one of them is going to escape out your hole.
And then, what is it, Bruce that's snorting the milk from a pig's kind of leakage, a mother pig's leakage. So it's quite good. And that's pretty much it from the film. Yeah. I want to talk about our favourite bits. Favourite bits, James? What did you like about this?
I liked the ending. Just the Ocean song was brilliant. I really fitted in well. I thought it was a brilliant song at the end of it.
But, that song was always a go-to for Martin, our good friend Mossy, when he wanted to kind of liven up a party that was starting to go down a little bit at maybe 4:30 in the AM. That was a surefire way to perk up the patrons. Well, certainly himself, yeah. I know, it's a good one. It's definitely a favourite of Moss's. I loved, obviously, the gay bars. Well, it's not a gay bar. It's a bar scene, but where he sets up this gay lad to come in. And as I say, Dougie is fucking brilliant in that scene. I love... This sounds like I've got an agenda here, but I don't. But I loved where he wrote the graffiti on the wall and then went in to do the fake kind of investigation.
Fake outrage.
And just, as I say, his laugh a couple of times where as he's writing Peter Ingalls sucks cocks on the wall, and the way he nearly can't finish because he's laughing so much. And that laugh where Dougie says that Chrissy's leaving him, McAvoy really nailed it, I think, for that. But and John Sessions as well, that bit where he's saying, I won't lie, I find the idea of...
Yeah, that was a good point.
Yeah, and McAvoy, apparently, that's another thing I wrote, he can actually vomit at will, apparently, much like the wrestler Puke, if you remember.
Like Pelican.
Yeah. So obviously that helped with the whole scene with Shakin' Stevens.
Penguin.
Is it a penguin that can do it, is it?
Penguin.
I know a pelican can hold a lot of shit in its beak, can't it?
Many birds can do that.
You're starting to sound like Roy Strang's dad here.
Pelican swinging a lot of dogs.
He did indeed. But yeah, that's my other favourite scene is Bruce kind of leading out of the car barfing as Shakin' Stevens is playing. Not as much, there is toilet humour, but not as much as in the film.
It needed way more.
Well, and certainly not, as we said, as much poor hygiene. But
they sort of go hand in hand.
Indeed. Any other favourite bits?
No.
Happy enough with that?
I'm happy enough with that, yeah.
Good stuff. Disturbing bits.
There's a lack of disturbing bits, considering the book.
Probably the hallucinations more than anything. The Bunty bird face was a bit disturbing.
But they're so unrealistic.
Yeah.
I don't find them disturbing.
There's one bit, it's not disturbing, but I've just thought of it, that we definitely didn't mention on the book episode, was this kind of just one small chapter. Do you remember the bit where he goes to visit a scene where there was some sort of drug bust, but the dog was after eating a load of acid and then jumped off the balcony and was destroyed, and it was more about the copper who loved this dog. It was obviously, he was the copper that looked after the dog. And it reminded me of, when I was reading that, do you remember the Rancor Keeper in Return of the Jedi? Remember the big monster that Jabba the Hutt had down in the pit? And fucking Luke Skywalker kills it. And then this bloke who was obviously looked after that comes in. I recognise the fucker. He's this English actor. He's like a comic actor from the 70s or whatever. He just comes in and he's so upset at this hideous monster being fucking killed. But that's what that dog bit being killed in the book. Yet another animal being hurt in an Irvine Welsh book, of course.
You're not a big fan of animals.
Well, there's none of that in this, of course. But I suppose they could have filmed that, because years before that, there's something about Mary, and that involved a dog being flung out a window or jumping out a window.
Well, that was funny.
Yeah, well, this was funny in the book as well, even though it's kind of horrific. But that's kind of, they go hand in hand in Irvine Welsh books. But I suppose disturbing, the other bit, that the bit where Dougie as Hitler with his slashed hands was a bit weird looking. Bladesy shouting, Bruce, 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 over and over again. I love you. The dead brother stuff was pretty tame, very considering what the subject matter was. But they didn't obviously have any flashbacks to his actual death or anything ridiculous like that. The assault, of course, the sexual assault, that in itself is still, abuse of a minor. That's that. You want to do connecting lines?
Yes.
My favourite bit, of course, and yours. Everyone's favourite bit.
That's the only reason people tune in.
So we mentioned the character connections of the book to the other books in the last episode we did. So really we're just doing the actors here. Shirley Henderson, who plays Bunty. She, of course, played Gail in Trainspotting 1 and 2.
What else was she in?
Oh, she was in Intermission. She had the old Ronnie.
That was the one about Ronnie.
Yeah. She's good. She's a good actress.
She's a good Ronnie.
She's definitely had a good Ronnie.
You're no bleeding. What was it? Tom Selleck.
Yeah. Bus driver. Brilliant fella. Fucking brilliant. I've seen him in a few things as well. No, do you know who went off her? Was your man who was into the pleasure/pain.
Oh, yes.
Who was getting knocked around by
all the albums and
Deirdre O'Kane.
Barry's Hotel.
Nice work if you can get it.
You're not bleeding, Tom Selleck.
That was a great film. Maybe we'll do an episode on Intermission and just pretend it was something to do with Irvine Welsh.
Oh, see, he was on that bus.
He was on the side of the bus in a big poster. Shauna MacDonald, nearly said it again. She was also in Wedding Bells, which we haven't done yet. It's a film that Irvine Welsh did the screenplay for. Also starred Gary McCormack from The Exploited, aka Larry from The Acid House. Also stars Michelle Gomez, who was the pregnant bird, the bird who was bursting pregnant, as you said, on the Acid House episode. And another bloke who I don't remember, called Niall Greg Fulton, who apparently was also in the Acid House.
Well, there's so many stars in that film.
And Shirley Henderson as well, apparently, is in Wedding Bells. So if she's in that, she's played 3 different Welsh penned characters, which would equal, of course, your man who played God in the Acid House.
Oh, do you know that? Yeah. He played him well, in fairness.
Absolutely. Joy McAvoy, as we said, who's James McAvoy's real life sister, played Estelle. She was also in Victor Frankenstein with James McAvoy. Victor Frankenstein was directed by Paul McGuigan, who directed The Acid House. Once again, the circle of life.
The web of shite.
Gus Bain, who, well, that's the character. I can't remember the actor's name now. We said it earlier. He was also in Shallow Grave, of course, directed by Danny Boyle and starring Ewan McGregor. And this last one is a bit of a long shot, but I'll say it anyway. Frank Sidebottom was also played in a film about the character by Michael Fassbender.
What?
Who was in Wedding Bells, who we just mentioned. And was also in...
Fassbender
plays Frank Sidebottom.
He's Frank Sidebottom.
Yeah, in a film. Yeah.
Oh, not the original.
No, Jesus.
What's the original Frank Sidebottom?
I don't know. Frank Sidebottom was his name, surely.
But anyway, he spoke with a kazoo in his mouth, sort of.
Kind of, yeah. Don't know if did he do that. Was there an actual kazoo, or did it just sound like that?
Sure.
He's around a good while, old Frank, in fairness to him. It was definitely a good choice for a Welsh to stick him in. It's very disturbing, because even in 1998, when the book came out, Frank Sidebottom had kind of been off the scene for a while.
He was late 80s.
So it was quite weird. But Michael Fassbender plays him in this other film. Michael Fassbender was also in Wedding Bells. And he was also in X-Men with James McAvoy. So, as I say, that's a bit of a stretch, but I'm putting it in connecting lines anyway. Why not? And we're on to overall thoughts.
About the film or about life in general?
In general, really, yeah.
But it was probably... It was the best film so far.
Really? Well, of the ones you've done.
Of the ones
you weren't on the train spotting episodes.
No. I missed out on the big show, obviously. Yeah. From the ones I've seen, it's clearly the best, but probably not as funny because it wasn't as shit as the other ones.
Yeah. It was almost trying to be intentionally funny, obviously. And I know Acid House was as well, but we...
No.
We were nearly laughing at the cheapness of the Acid House at times. But yeah, go on.
It was a decent watch. Wasn't brilliant, wasn't shit. It was good.
Yeah. I suppose the other thing we didn't really mention is this is a Christmas movie. And it doesn't really get into the conversation of your classic Christmas movie. And I think that needs to change. I
don't know if the birth of Jesus Christ has anything to do with this film.
Well, it's set over Christmas. We get Shakin' Stevens. We got a few Christmas songs here. Yeah, we get Bruce.
Is involved.
We get Bruce getting sick out the side of a car with a nagging of whiskey there. As far as I'm concerned, if we're going to talk about Die Hard as a Christmas movie, we need to talk about Filth as well. And I'm going to campaign for that as soon as I'm finished here.
I think you should.
I'm going to go online and verbally
#Filth for Christmas.
Indeed, that's it. The cinematography, I think we mentioned earlier, it's very bright.
Too bright. Too clean.
The scenes, they're played out with a lot of humour, but, and obviously even when it's a serious scene, but it's hard to take yourself out of that humour then when they are trying to be serious, when they're trying to kind of shine the light on his mental illness and his decline in health in general. It possibly doesn't work as well.
No, he doesn't look sick enough.
Yeah, it just doesn't have a disturbing feel that the book had.
No, when you were saying disturbing parts, there's no...
Yeah, definitely not. And obviously, as we said, the book does have a lot of dark humour, of course, but
and wanking and hair scratching.
Well, I suppose this is kind of the standard with films that are trying to reach a wider audience. Maybe a braver director and filmmaking team, might have tried to make it more like the book. And I say that the director is a fan of the books, but
we all need to scratch our arse every now and again.
Indeed, I think he toed the line here, though. In a lot of ways,
played it safe,
and to that degree, it worked in terms of
9.2 million. But you never know.
No,
I've been an extra hoop scratching and could have made the 10. Went into double figures.
Word of mouth would have been enough,
hoop.
Or arse to mouth, one or the other.
That's a completely different scene altogether.
It still sticks to the core plot of the book. Obviously, one man's kind of steady demise through his own doing, really. But even without the physical filth, it kind of still captures the kind of mental decay of the man himself. And I do think every actor in it plays their role pretty well. And certainly McAvoy, younger than we envisioned Bruce. I said in the book episode that when I read Filth, I pictured your man Dougray Scott playing him. And of course, the irony is that he's going to be playing him in this adaptation of the novel Crime, which is coming up. Speaking of which, that's been filmed. So we will cover that. I think we'll try and cover that episode by episode, James, when it comes out.
Well, we certainly will.
Straight away when it comes out as well.
I don't actually know what you're talking about, but yeah, I'm all
well, there's a novel called Crime that this guy Irvine Welsh wrote, and we haven't gotten to it yet. It's actually, the main character in it is your man Lennox from this book.
All right.
and it's just been finished filming. It's going to be on something called BritBox, which I'm not sure I have, but sure, we have ways and means, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, of seeing these things.
Illegal streams.
Ah, Jesus, James, don't say it. But we will be doing that. But yeah, James McAvoy played him quite well in this, I have to say. He put in a decent performance. And as I say, the laughs and the facial expressions, he definitely won me over, and he's Bruce Robinson as far as I'm concerned now. Marks out of 5.
Every time you say this, I ask, what's the give the last?
Well, the last one was fucking Ecstasy, so...
Oh, that was 0 or whatever.
The Acid House, I think he gave something like 2.5, something like that. Marabou was only a book, obviously. So film-wise, we've only got the Acid House and Ecstasy to compare this to.
Well, it's better than both of them. Probably not quite as funny as Acid House because of the shitness. I give it a 3. It's a... For someone who doesn't like Irvine Welsh, or just a regular...
For someone who doesn't like Irvine Welsh...
For someone who doesn't like Irvine Welsh, they'd watch it.
Of course.
For someone who doesn't like Irvine Welsh, they would not watch The Acid House. It's so bad. But, I'll give it a 3, possibly a 3.25. Yeah,
I'm going to give it a 3, I think. Yeah, I mean, I always mark the movies in comparison with just every other movie that's made, not just, in comparison to what we've covered here.
It's good.
It's definitely watchable. And as we said, it's got Billy Ocean at the end, so you can't say fair.
That was great.
But that is that, James.
Ecstasy, which was fucking shite.
Everything's fucking better than Ecstasy. Ecstasy's definitely one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life. God love them. But anyway, we did it. That's it. We're finished.
We're back in the roll now.
Back on the trail, boys.
I tell you.
I'm not quite sure what we're going to do next.
I'm nearly finished that. What's the one I'm reading?
Glue.
Yeah, I'm nearly finished it.
Good. Maybe we'll finish, or maybe we'll do that. So if you're finished, no, there's not. But so folks, we might do Glue next. Failing that, we might do. I wanted to do an episode on Creation Stories, which Irvine Welsh did the screenplay for, the film that came out only recently, about Alan McGee of Creation Records.
Is that Jimmy McGee's son?
Yes.
I'm Jimmy McGee!
I'm Frank Sandbottom. But
Mike.
We'll try and get Jem to finish this book quickly so that we can talk about it.
Right.
Or else
I'm nearly finished it.
Good stuff. But anything else you'd like to say?
No. What about yourself? How does it feel to be back upright?
Feels pretty good, yeah.
It's good to have him back with us.
Definitely.
Amongst the land of the living.
Hopefully we've sorted out our technical issues. We've simplified it here. Simplified it?
Well, it might even fucking work, but you would say.
It will. It fucking definitely will work. And I think as well for Glue, we're not going to deep dive quite as much as we possibly have on other books. We're definitely going to cover shit, but it's a long book, and
it's complicated.
I think
through the decades.
Yeah, it's a very much a character-driven book, so we're going to concentrate on the characters, the stories. Listen, we'll talk about it, but it'll be good. We'll probably have a few more beers first. Maybe a nag and a whiskey, and then barf out the side of the car. I don't know. Who knows? The possibilities are endless. But we're just glad to be back. Thanks very much for your patience. I know on the social media, people have been hitting me up saying, when Damien are you coming back? And
who said
boy,
that?
oh boy, are they in for a treat now.
Who said that?
Oh, God. Everyone. Larry, Lexi, everyone.
Oh, Lexi, Larry.
But I'll get editing this post haste, and I'll have it out shortly. And everyone listening will know that because they'll
be listening.
Indeed. Anyway, that's it. Say goodbye, James.
Goodbye. Shalom.
Thanks for listening. Cheerio.